In 2007, on paper, I was crushing it. But one big market shift exposed everything I was doing wrong, and it came all crashing down. I was actually a millionaire going into 2006, 2007, and then I became an upside down millionaire where I was over $1 million in debt. What did I do wrong? So to explain what happened, like in 2006, I left being a financial advisor. I started doing things in the real estate space. And the next thing I know, I have enough passive income coming in that I could quit. I could retire. I was 28 years old, didn't know what the heck to do with my life. 2007 though, I was getting antsy. I wanted to do something more. I came out of retirement to teach people how I did what I did, how to get out of the rat race, as Robert Kiyosaki teaches in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The only problem is this: as we started up this new business, I had a partner who says, hey, get rid of your passive income streams, right? Like stop doing all these other things, just focus on our company. So I did. I don't know why I did that, considering that we're literally teaching people how to have passive income streams, yet I also became a hypocrite at this point by getting rid of my passive income streams. On top of that, our business started failing. We were focused on real estate investors, specifically flippers, who by mid-2007 weren't making money anymore. The banks were doing some crazy stuff that they weren't really announcing publicly, but I saw it firsthand because I had equity trapped in my account, right? We'll talk about that too. But long story short, even though I had equity in my property, I couldn't get to it. Eventually, the market crashed. I lost that equity in the house. I was negative cash flow. I was in a bad situation. In fact, I was in the hole by over $15,000 to $16,000 a month. That's how much I was short each month between my business and my personal finances. And so I was trapped. I was stuck. Debt was piling up all of a sudden because obviously I didn't have any money. I already burned through my savings. I was out. And so I had to get it under control. And so this is something that you want to make sure you do too, because if you're someone who does have a lot of money, you might get lazy. For example, number one, I got lazy because I was actually not tracking my money. I wasn't paying how much attention money was coming in or going out because I had so much money coming in. It was just like oxygen, right? When you have so much air to breathe, you never think about each breath you take, although you might be now because I just mentioned it, but you probably don't think about how much, each breath that you take, right? You just put that out of your mind because there's an abundance of oxygen. But I can guarantee you, if all of a sudden that oxygen is taken away, you're counting every single breath. Well, that's what happened with me with my money. I recommend you don't get to that place. You start counting the money before things go wrong. So start tracking your money on I would say, weekly basis, if not a bi-weekly basis. Remember, income, just having active income is not freedom. In fact, this is one of the biggest mistakes high income earners make, is that they think that their income means that they're good with money. And that's not the case. Just because you have a high net worth, so many people will say net worth is your measure of wealth. It's not. Net worth is worth less unless it's creating income. Do you know how many people we've had come to us saying, I'm worth $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million, and I don't feel wealthy? Why? Because they bought into the typical trap of accumulation, right? They were taught that you just set it and forget it. Just keep packing money into your IRAs and 401ks, and they're max funding everything. And then they're paying off their debt. And so they have, maybe they're even mortgage free. So yeah, they create a little bit of cash flow, but they're like, wait a minute, all my expenses are not debt. In fact, most of my expenses have nothing to do with debt. The debt was the minority expenses. I still have to live. I do not grow my own food, all of it, all right? I don't, grow cattle on my land. Some of you might. But not everybody does that. Some people don't even make their own toilet paper. Did you know that? That we actually go to the store and buy it. In 2020, we were begging for it, weren't we? So again, we need cash. We need income coming in. And just having money sitting on the side, if it doesn't generate income, you're just as broke. And this is the trap that all savers run into. They keep thinking, I just got to save a little bit more, until finally they have hardly any life left to live. Don't get caught in that trap. Especially don't get caught in the trap of just accumulating money, but then there's no control. Locking it away in prison like 401ks, even in your house. Remember, I had equity locked in my house that I had, but I couldn't get to it. Why? Because all of a sudden the market changed. If I want to do a cash out refinance, the bank says, sorry, we don't do cash out refinances for people anymore. Like we're tightening the reins. So I couldn't get equity out. And then because I couldn't get equity out, it also meant other people couldn't either. And people couldn't sell their properties very easily. And so they're fire selling it for less. And I started watching all that equity, all that value of my house decrease to the point where eventually I started asking the bank, I said, hey, okay, now I can't afford the monthly payment anymore. Can we short sale this property? Meaning, can I sell the property for less than what I owe on the mortgage? Because the value just kept decreasing. And they said no. Yeah, I even had buyers lined up saying, we'll buy it for, I think they're going to buy it for over $500,000. I was like, we can do it. I know I owe 600,000, but can we do this? And they said, no. Well, guess what? Eventually, I had to foreclose on that property. Even though we had buyers in place, they wouldn't take it. They ended up foreclosing on me for $342,000, not over 500, 342. Why? Because Lehman Brothers owned it, and they created a bunch of mortgage fraud practices. So the bank had control of my equity and my money. I tried to sell it, but I couldn't. I could only short sell it, and they wouldn't let me do it. That's what you got to be aware of. And by the way, I had lots of equity, but again, by the time I decided to actually sell it, it was too late. So be aware that lock your money in equity, lock your money in a 401k at a business, in a job or a business where you cannot get it out unless you quit or change jobs or get fired. I don't recommend that. It's locked up. So accumulate. If you're going to accumulate cash that you can use, accumulate in your control. Keep it in savings. You can keep it in infinite banking, things like that. And this is what I started to do. I didn't have anything locked up in 401ks. I stopped worrying about trying to lock it up. I focused only on cash flow. How am I actually making it month to month? How do I control my expenses, get it under control? Then I was paying off debt and getting that under control. Then I was also saving up money too, so I can actually invest it for passive income. And that's the key. That's what so many people that earn good money miss, is that you don't actually invest for passive income. This is where I get people, it's like, hey, I had one guy had $3 million. And you know what? Sad. He was saving $200,000 a year into his $3 million account. The financial advisor says, listen, I know you want to have a $500,000 a year lifestyle. So what you need to do is keep saving for the next 13 years. And if the market doesn't go down in the meantime, and if inflation doesn't go up or doesn't do anything crazy, you might be able to live on that $500,000 a year in 13 years. This guy had $3 million saved up. But he's like, no, you got to basically sextuple your money. Keep saving $200,000 a year for the next 13 years, and the market can't go down. I told him, I said, listen, you want a $500,000 a year, you have $300,000, you invest for passive income, like in real estate, a lot of these pay at least 10% a year. 10% of $3 million is $300,000 a year. You're already almost there. By the way, he didn't need a $500,000 a year. He could easily live on $300,000 a year. He just wanted almost like FU money, right? He wanted like huge financial freedom. So I said, but even then, if you have that $300,000 coming in from your investments plus the $200,000 you're saving, that's another $500,000. Guess what? Now you have that at 10%, that's $50,000 more. You go from $300 to $350 a year. The next year is going to be over $400. Within 4 years, you'll be at over $500,000 a year. Not 18 years if you're lucky, 4. So if you want to learn how to do what I had to do, and also a lot of our clients have been doing as well, just go to moneyripples.com/consulting. Check out our work optional blueprint page. This is the new way to retire, right? In fact, it's not even really about retiring. It's about creating enough passive income so you work because you want to, not because you have to.